Hey, how are you guys? Hope you guys are doing well. I don't know where in the world you are, but I am enjoying one of what seems to be very few nice days that we get as far as the weather is concerned here in Canada. You'd think that being at the end of May, now going into early June, that we'd be like well in the midst of summer, but that just doesn't seem to be the way that it goes here. Last weekend we had a tornado rip through. The weekend before it was like 3 degrees, so the little bits of warm weather we get like this, where we can actually sit outside in short sleeves in the sunshine and just enjoy the outdoors, we don't get to do it enough. I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, a few months ago I mentioned that to celebrate 500 subscribers I was going to do a Q&A or an AMA, whatever you want to refer to it as. And yes, some time has gone by, and yes, I am a little over the 500 subscriber count now, but I figured that now would be as good a time as any to answer your questions. So some of you guys have left me questions in the comments of previous videos, some of you have sent me questions on Instagram, and I've compiled a bunch of them on my phone, and I'm just going to go through them and answer them. We're going to have a really chill video. Hopefully I can put some of your curiosities to rest, and we'll see how this goes. Alright, so the first question is one that I get asked a lot. A lot of people have left comments or messaged me on Instagram. I know that I have probably set this up to create a lot of curiosity where I didn't necessarily mean to, but the first question is, what do you do for work, or what is your business? So here's the thing about that. I know that I talk a lot about work on this channel. I talk about my desires to retire. I talk about my experiences running a business, and I know that I've been very vague as to what that business is or what I actually do for work. I want to be clear that it's not because it's some big, deep, dark secret. It's not because I do something illegal or immoral or embarrassing. It's nothing at all like that. The reason that I haven't disclosed that, and the reason that I don't plan to disclose that at this time, is just for privacy reasons going both ways. What I mean is that if I started to talk about more detail about specifically what I do for work, it would give people on the internet the ability to maybe look me up, maybe dox me, maybe find some personal information. Because I own a business, my contact information can be found on the internet for somebody who knows what to look for, and I just don't want to dox myself like that. I feel very fortunate that the majority of the people who seem to interact with me on these videos and on Instagram, everybody seems to be super cool, and I feel like I've built a really sweet little community here, but the internet is still the internet, and you never really know who else is watching your stuff or what their intentions are, and so for my own personal safety and privacy, I've chosen not to disclose that. But furthermore to that, even more importantly so, is I also don't want to put myself in a position where my clientele finds my YouTube channel. I think that one of the most important things to me, one of the most beautiful things about this channel, is my ability to talk uncensored, to be unfiltered, to say what I actually feel, and to not have to worry about it not reflecting professionally or properly in any way. And so as much as I don't want my YouTube audience to necessarily be able to find my personal contact information, even more so is I don't want my clients to find the things that I say on the internet, if that makes sense. As you guys know, I tend to swear quite a bit, which, is not the most professional thing in the world. I also talk openly about not wanting to work, about my plans to retire, about how I'm really just chasing after the money. Things that I don't personally think are a big deal or necessarily improper, but things that I know that certain people will be inclined to take out of context or become offended by, and I just don't want to offend the people who pay my bills at the end of the day. So in order to be able to maintain transparency and honesty and to just be unfiltered and uncensored, I think that for now at least it is best for everybody involved if I just kind of keep my private life and my professional life separate, and keep my business and my YouTube channel completely separate.
You gotta keep them separated.
That said, if you guys are really, really eager to know and you really want to know, I will say this. I'll say subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, engage with the video. If I can somehow one day get this channel up to the point where it can be my main source of income and I can live off of my ad revenue and whatever else, I will happily tell you what I've been doing for a living, because I won't need to do it anymore and I won't particularly care if I offend people. But in the meantime, it's just not... Sorry, I hate the outdoors. I hate bugs. In the meantime, yeah, it's just not the best thing for me to do. It's just not the most beneficial thing to my current situation. So I hope you guys understand, and thank you for respecting my privacy. I really appreciate it. All right, with that said, on to the next question. Where are you? Currently, I'm sitting in my mother's backyard. But what I think that question is actually referring to is where I was when I missed a bunch of uploads in a row, where there was a couple of weeks where I didn't post a video. So actually I did just post a video. My most recent one explained where I was at and what was going on and why I was absent from YouTube. If you haven't watched it yet, if you're still asking where I am or where I was, means you didn't watch the video. I'll link to it up here and down there. Go check it out. Basically, the long and short of it is that I sold my house. I moved out of it. I'm currently living with my mom. I bought a new house. I'm waiting to get the keys to it. The situation turned into chaos. I almost got myself into a lot of trouble. I had a nervous breakdown. Yeah, just go watch the video if you want to know more. But I'm back and things should be more on a regular schedule now. So hopefully no more missed uploads. But hey, thanks for noticing and thanks for caring and thanks for checking in. Next question. Your love life. I'm nosy. Not a whole lot to tell you about. I'm single. I'm straight, if that's what you're wondering. I don't know what specifically you wanted to know about my love life. Nothing really to report on. I don't think it's nosy. I think it's natural to be curious, so certainly no problem with answering that question. All right, and the next question is, what kind of dog is Levi? Levi is a Norfolk Terrier. You've probably not heard of it. That sounds super hipster. Truth is, you probably never heard of him. It's not a very common breed, but if you Google Norfolk Terrier, as in Norfolk, England, not Virginia, though I guess the spelling's the same. If you Google Norfolk Terrier, you'll find a whole bunch more dogs that look just like him, because that's what he is. All right, next is, what is your life 1 year plan? What is my one year plan for life? This was a question that was submitted a couple months back, and if I had answered the question at that time, I would have said that my 1 year plan was to sell my house, buy a detached house, renovate it, keep working, keep saving money towards my eventual goal of retiring early. Fast forward to today, I've actually already purchased the house. I'll be taking possession in 2 weeks. At this point, a year going forward from today, what is my 1 year plan? Probably just the same old, probably to keep working, trying to save money, try to get the house renovated, try to indulge a little bit more in hobbies and fun. I think that's maybe kind of the goal. If we want to change the word plan to goal, I would say my goal is to stop being so uptight financially. I have always had a big goal in mind for my money, starting out when I was really young, wanting to buy an expensive guitar, eventually wanting to buy a car, wanting to buy a house, wanting to buy a nicer house now. I've always had a big goal in mind, and retiring early is absolutely one of those things. But having a big goal to always reach towards has definitely caused a lot of financial anxiety for me, and caused me to be really, really frugal in a lot of ways, maybe almost to a fault, because I just become hyper-focused on the one thing that I want, and it tends to be a little detrimental to my overall well-being, I would say, if I'm being honest, because I tend to deprive myself of small things in lieu of just pushing all of my financial power and willpower towards the big thing. So I'd say my 1 year goal starting today would be to loosen up a little bit financially, invest a little bit more in my current happiness, and not always everything just being pushed about the next goal, the next goal, the next goal. Spend a little bit more time with friends, be open to spending a little bit more money to go out for food and entertainment, and just try to stop worrying so much about getting to that next big goal while not enjoying all the small little things in between, because that's something that I'm really not very good at. Hope that answers your question. So the next question is a little bit similar, and it's, where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years from now, I hope to be retired, to be honest with you. I don't know for sure if I will get there, because there's a lot of factors outside of my control that will dictate whether or not that is something I can accomplish. One of them being the stock market and the economy as a whole, and how my investments do. One of them being if my business continues to thrive. Goals change all the time, but I would like to say, in an ideal world, that in 5 years from now I will achieve Barista Fire. Again, I've made a video about this, which I will link to above and below if you haven't watched it yet. Basically, Barista Fire is a terminology for somebody who has achieved somewhat financial independence and no longer needs to work a full-time job or career to sustain themselves, but just works like a part-time job, such as being a barista, to be able to, float their bills while still being able to support themselves mostly off of their savings and investments. So I don't necessarily think I'll become a barista, but my plan was to drop down my work to very part-time basis, maybe 2 days a week, and just live a happy, domestic life. Honestly, I know this is going to sound super boring, make me sound like a little old lady, but I just want a peaceful, calm life. I want to be able to sit outside in the garden like this. I want to be able to, plant vegetable plants and garden and grow food and bake sourdough bread and go skateboarding and bike riding and hang out with my dog and just chill. Because I feel like life on a day-to-day basis, particularly when you're balancing a full-time career, is so hectic and everything always feels so rushed. And like I said, it's so easy to pass by so much time without actually enjoying the day-to-day, because you're just hustling, trying to get to the next thing, finish the next day, deal with the next client, get to the next weekend so you can actually relax a little bit. And it gets old very fast. So I'm hoping that in 5 years from now, I will be what I'm calling semi-retired, working on a very casual part-time basis and just being able to kind of kick back and enjoy my life, and again have the opportunity to invest more time and money into living a fulfilling life rather than just trying to get to the next goal point. All right, the next question you guys have asked is, would you ever make a Patreon? You know what? I have a lot of mixed feelings about Patreon. When I first saw it, when it first became a thing, I thought it was kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Skeezy? I don't know. I feel like the internet has set us up to have an unrealistic expectation of free content. And I realized that things have changed a lot in the last probably 5 to 10 years since Patreon has been around, and my attitude has shifted a lot about it as well. And I start to realize now that, where it just seemed like initially, I'll be totally honest with you, my first impression of it was like people who were just screwing around on the internet looking for handouts or panhandling, and I've come to see it in a different light. And I think that as a platform, it has transformed a lot into not being a panhandling thing so much, but being a way for people to monetize the work that they do on a freelance basis. I think even the idea of being a creator has become very revolutionized, where I think initially being like a YouTuber was seen as a very cringy thing. And again, I think that entire attitude has changed, and the platform as a whole, once again, has changed from being just this weird video thing for kids to make goofy videos on, to becoming a legitimate source of independent media and entertainment. And as a result, I think my attitude about Patreon has changed as well, and I do see the merits to it. It's something that I've thought about, but I think personally that I'm too early on in the process now. I'm just over the 500 subscriber mark, and I think that it's a little bit soon for me to make a Patreon, but I can see it being something that I do at a later date, maybe once I have a more established following on YouTube, or once I'm able to actually make more content and just kind of ramp up the volume of my channel as a whole. But I'm very interested to know what you guys think about this. If I was to make a Patreon, do you think it's too soon for me? I personally do, but I would love to hear if you have a differing opinion. If I made a Patreon, is it something that you would contribute to? How much would you be willing to contribute? And what kind of content would you want to see on it? What kind of perks would you want to become one of my patrons? Just putting it out there. I don't think that I'm there yet, like I said, but it's something to think about for the future for sure. Maybe one day. Christ almighty. Alright, and finally I have one more question on the list here, and it is, are you vegan? I'm not sure if that was supposed to be a why are you vegan, or if you're literally just asking if I am vegan. So to answer your question directly, yes, I am vegan. If that was supposed to say why are you vegan, because eating animals is fucked up, and I think that an animal's life is worth a lot more than a sandwich or a pair of shoes. It's that straightforward. So yes, I am vegan. I've been vegan for 5.5 years, and I was vegetarian for about 10 years before that. So yeah, that's it. That's the end of the questions I have from you guys at this time. I hope that gave you a little bit of insight. I hope I answered some of your curiosities. I hope I provided some context for some of the things that I've been a little bit vague about. And I just want to say thank you guys very, very much for 500 subscribers. It feels crazy. I know I've said this before, and I know that on YouTube as a platform, 500 subscribers is incredibly low. Like, I'm not even far enough along to monetize or anything like that. For everybody watching, whether you're brand new here, whether you've been following me from the start, I just want to say thank you very much. It's like the coolest thing to know that there are 500 strangers in the world who I've never met before, but who are interested in what I have to say and what I have to do, and find entertainment value in my shenanigans. It just feels really cool. So thank you guys very much. I hope to see you as my channel continues to grow. If you'd like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and I will see you guys next week. Oh yeah, and follow me on Instagram as well. Put my handle down here, according to Nicole, with underscores between the words. Take care, have a good one, see you guys next time. I swear you guys, he is part cat. All he ever wants to do is suntan and just lie there and roast, but honestly, who can blame him? What a life.